Hey everybody, this is Al with El Rey Collection, and I'm here today to talk about the epic cardboard of Laszlo Kubala. He has different pronunciations of his name, being Hungarian, Spanish, and Czech. So he actually played, interestingly enough, he's one of a few players that I know, like Di Stefano, who actually played for three national teams, mostly a result of politics. He really grew up in Hungary, where he was, a superstar as a young kid, playing typically with people who are 3 to 5 years older than him all through his junior career. But ultimately, in the revolution in 19 what is it 49, he fled Hungary and ultimately found his way to Spain, where he became a naturalized citizen. Franco used this opportunity to, kind of make it look like people were fleeing the Soviet Union, and he and Spain were the good guys in all this. Of course, I won't get too much into politics. Franco was far from a good guy. Anyway, long story short, he ended up being sought after by both Real Madrid and Barcelona, and ended up landing in Barcelona, and it was actually voted the best player of Barcelona of its first 100 years. Of course, now that would have to be Messi, but that's how important he ended up being for Barcelona. In total, he scored about 130 goals over 180 games at Barcelona, and really, took them to the. They beat Real Madrid, who had won 5 straight European Cups in, I think it's 1961. Ultimately, they would lose in the final. So, he didn't win in that particular year, but at least beating Real Madrid was a huge deal for Barcelona. And he is basically a legend for the team. In total, through all his senior career, he played more than 400 games, scored, a little less than 250 goals, and actually slightly above that, I think, when you include the national team. Again, playing for Czechoslovakia, Hungary, I think he only had a few games in the late 1940s. And Spain, he played about 19 or 20 games and scored in about half of those. So he was, and then later he recruited Sandor Kosic and Zlatlan Sabor, who were fellow Hungarian refugees, to play with him at Barcelona. And really, it was a rebirth of Barcelona, them together with Luis Suarez, and then obviously in Real Madrid they had Di Stefano, which was a refugee of his own, of basically not necessarily leaving Argentina because of political reasons, but more because of the unions and the issues with the teams there. And then he would play with Millonarios in Colombia, and then also make his way to Spain. And then Puskas, we know his story as well. Anyway, his cardboard, ironically, is still incredibly accessible. Given his stature with the club, I find that great news. You can go out and get some really nice looking cards from the 1950s from his time in Spain. Anything that was from his time prior to his arrival in Spain is really hard, and this is where you see this card, which is on my border. You'll see on my border here, in all of my videos, includes this card. I find this to be one of the most important cards in my collection. I'm a Barca fan. I guess you're not fully appreciating my crest, or maybe I'm sitting in the wrong direction. So, I'm a Barca fan. You go there to Camp Nou, you'll see a big statue of him. You don't see Johan Cruyff statue, but you see a Kubala statue. He was just epic for the team. Really resurrected them, gave them hope, and I think had a big part to do. He later would coach the team, not overly successfully, but so this is his rookie, which actually hails from Italy, and he played a couple seasons for Slovan Bratislava, and he gets placed on a Nanina strip, which these are hand cut, similar to the Masolas, similar to the Puskas rookie. But here you go. This is when he's playing for Bratislava, which he played for from 46 to 48. So very unique card here. Super, super important card in my collection. May not be the most valuable, but certainly amazingly important. Then, unfortunately, while he's playing at Vasas and Pro Patria, there's no cards of him as if there were none before him. I think he really got promoted to the senior teams around 1945. So here you kind of fast forward to Spain, and there's some nice, I think it's Casablanca oversized cards. I have some here, but they won't really fit on the slabs. Those are nice. These are from the early 50s. I prefer the smaller cards that fit in standard slabs. This is one from 1951, amazingly scarce issue called Cigarrillos Cumbre. Look at this beautiful back on this thing. This is just knockout card. Love that card. Then you have these really small ones. I'd say this is probably a gettable rookie card. This is a Temporadas Cromos. They are blank backed. There's a couple others that are similar to this. I don't have any of these graded at this moment, but you'll see these cards frequently. You can get these on Todo Colección from time to time. Again, not that expensive given the importance of the player. Here's another one. This one has a little bit of foxing on the back, but we'll take it. I love those. It just reminds you of these older cards. This one is actually insane because it's so hard to get SGC to do these. If it's slightly higher than or slightly bigger than normal, a normal size card, they're going to put you now in these postcard type holders, and I just don't love those. I mean, there's something about a card that fits in a standard holder. You can see this one barely fits all the way up to the top and all the way down to the bottom. And they used to do these things for you, these custom cuts to make a card fit. They don't really do it anymore. They got so much demand. Check out this back on this one. Love it. With the chocolate stains. I know some people say, wow, I want a PSA 10. Come on, guys. Chocolate, kids, 1950s. Let's just appreciate these things for what they are. So, so nice. So I love these, even though it's a 2. You know what? I'm super, super happy with this. These Ediciones Costas, there's been some question on the dates of these recently by some people that I very much respect. So these we had these cataloged, and they are cataloged as 1952 Ediciones Costa. It also has the Francisco Gento rookie in this set, but right now we may be thinking that these could potentially be later, 54 or even later. Then comes one of the issues that is very important yet very misunderstood. Okay, so I'm gonna have a pause here because this is gonna be helpful to maybe I talked a little bit about Di Stefano, but if we ever do a Luisito Suarez video or I guess Gento, I don't know if we will, but there's the 1953 Bruguera, so you're going to hear a lot of words around these cards. So sometimes they're called Bruguera, sometimes they're called Termo, sometimes they're called Pectorales. It depends on the grading company, and I just want to set straight what these cards were. So in 1953, there were a number of sets, typically regionally issued, that covered the entire Spanish league. The two most important teams were obviously, well, just like today, typically Barcelona and Real Madrid, and that's where the star cards are. And but they were issued by different places using the same photographs. So the first one that I'm going to show you is Bruguera, and it's actually one of the harder ones to find, even though the name is a common issuer. How can you tell a Bruguera? Number one, the sides have a significant border. Okay, so visually, just looking at the front, if it's got big white fat borders around, then you're going to think Bruguera. You're going to confirm that by a blank back. So the Brugueras are blank backs. Now, from a texture perspective, these are very thin. So you'll notice that. So when you think 1953s, I want you to think Bruguera, thin borders, blank back. Easy, right? The next ones will be Termos, right? And these Termos, PSA, I think, calls them, you can see on the back here, Caramelos Pectorales Termo. I don't even think they put Termo. I think they just call them Caramelos Pectorales. That's fine. Whatever. They're also from 1953. But a couple things. You see this shine we're getting here? That's because these are photographic stock. And you'll see a lot of these print lines that go through the card. So these are going to be a little bit thicker than the Brugueras. They are going to have a shine when you turn them from the side. And they're going to have nearly no border. You notice. Look at the Bruguera. The Bruguera has border. The Termos Pectorales, whatever you want to call it, pick a name and stick with it, have these no borders. So this is going to be Termo, and this by far is the most common one. But it's not the only issue. So let me see here. This is so for instance, here's and this is at least the Termos are probably 8 to 2 on the Brugueras. I mean, they're way more common. Or here, I guess I'll put here's a bunch of Termos. But there's also other small producers in different locations that would use the same photos and issue these cards. So this is a perfect example, and this is this is from Murcia, which is a small city in Spain, and this was Chocolates Jugar. So this is another version using the same photograph, and this was very typical in Spain. If you look at the 1920 sites, they would actually print the card. There would be a master printer would print the card, and there'd be a huge space for whatever chocolate company was in your neighborhood to put their stamp on it, and then they would use that as their promotion. So here, these are exceedingly rare. The smaller versions, you're almost always going to find Termo, followed by Bruguera, and then you'll occasionally find one of these. If you do, I say pick it up, because these are really tough to find. And there's at least one other one that I can't remember now, and I don't have a copy. But these should be laying around all these small, tertiary type cities in Spain, and would be fun to dig up some of those variations. So the Termos and the Brugueras from 1953, hopefully you understand that. That works for the same for Luis Suarez, Di Stefano, Gento. Who else do we have? Anyway, so hopefully you understand a bit more about the Termos and Brugueras. Again, one of the things I love about these Spain, lots of companies, lots of countries have a predominant card base from cigarettes, even the U.S. So it's nice to see that the preeminent cards from Spain are largely chocolate producers. That's great, but it also means that they're going to be in pretty poor condition, especially if they're larger cards like this. So this is a 53 Chocolates Nieto, and this very similar to the Turmos Brugueras that we were talking about. This is here's the back, and this right here is talking about a redemption program where you get a certain number of cards. You can turn it in for a pen. You can have a magnifying pen, pantalones, camisa, pantalon, medias y botas. Wow, full uniform. You get a ball. So this is really fun. And this is Chocolates Nieto from also 1953. De Stefano has those as well. But this is probably even more common. This is the Chocolates Toras from also 1953. And what's this one? Oh, this is another Nieto. So, and again, just like that, they're using the same fronts, and the backs are different depending on the people using them for promotion. These are some really fun cards as well. I don't have these graded right now, but these are Platin Detergentes, which is a detergent, I think of it as something you use in your washing machine. So this is detergents, and these little guys came in a blue version and a red version. And there's also De Stefanos from this issue. You may have seen that in my De Stefano video. But this is, I think, the very first cards that I know of that come in with detergent. Kind of fun. That's why every country is a little bit of a mystery. Lots of fun. I love the colors, even though this is monochrome. I really love the colors on these 1954-55 Arga cards. It may just look like a boring. It's actually got a greenish hue. It doesn't show up that well on the. I'm trying to get an angle here. Yeah, it looks a little bit more matte and brown than it actually does in person. But these are gorgeous. And then this one I love. I mean, what's not to love about these 1950s Spanish cards? Oh, these are just beautiful, beautiful green background here on this wonderful vintage, uniform. And here we have Nació in Budapest. He was born in Hungary, and he's 28 years old. So, really, really cool item there. Here's a 1955. This is a Bruguera. It's a disc. So, very similar to what they would have in Argentina at the time. So, really cool. Love these. Just love the ornateness. I don't know if you can see the image. I mean, the graphic image here. Awesome. You got to just love some of the stuff coming out of Spain. Bruguera was a prolific brand at the time, and they have cards. Yeah, they go from early 50s through 1960s. Yeah, so here's another one. Love this yellow pop right here. I think these guys call these altered. They're just poorly cut. This should be a hand cut designation from PSA. They're calling it altered. It's really just these were hand cut or poorly cut from the factory. It's a little annoying, but we'll get over it because we like to focus on the sticker, not the grade. Here's another really nice, these Gráficas Nilo. Just love those. Blank backs, but still some stains. So you're going to get, what's that, a 3? Yeah. Nice. FHER is also a pretty prolific manufacturer at the time. So here's another one. Blank back. Again, a lot of this stuff is blank back. Why? It's meant to be pasted into an album. So the backs don't really matter. Here's another one. Relatively uncommon. Jornada Deportivo. Don't love that SGC put this one in a baggie. A little harder to see, but they are thin, so I can understand it. We'll cut those guys some break. And then, I think he leaves Barcelona in 61. Ultimately, he'll move on and be a coach. This is out of Italy. We got the Campio Calcios. So many beautiful stickers at that time. This is really at the end of his career, really more celebrating his career than, I don't even think, he's not even playing for Barcelona in '64 for the Chocolates Simon. But, he certainly was a legend, continues to be a legend there today. Again, he's got a statue out front. Here's the 25 years de vida mundial, Chocolates Simon. And then I'll show you, I think, here's a different FHER, I believe. Blank back. Here's a really cool one. I haven't cataloged the year yet. Really nice, drawing picture. This was called Jugadores de Primera División. It's an obsequio de fábrica de tabacos favorita. So this one actually comes in tobacco, and it talks about in Hungary how many times he played, and interesting sticker. Still looking to fully catalog it. Here's a metal one from Chocolates Guillen. Very cool. Again, most of the stuff will never get graded just because of the cataloging, but very cool early collectibles. This is another hand cut Ruiz Romero, very typical of early Spain. And this is Selección Nacional, so he's playing on the national team. So those are just some examples. I have more ungraded stuff. Hey, if you're a Barcelona fan and you care about the history of the club, go out there, get some Kubala cards. If you're Hungarian, or if you just like, just general world history about, refugees being successful, I think that he's somebody that you should look into. I hope you found the video interesting. I hope you enjoyed some of the epic cardboard that we showed today of one of the Barcelona greats. And I hope you'll also smash that like button and give me a subscribe. Don't ask too much, but would love to kind of cross that 1,000 subscriber, and it'll keep me motivated to keep doing videos and sharing content with you guys. So hope you enjoyed the epic content, epic cardboard. Take care, guys. Again, best from Al and El Rey Collection.